Which is better, institutional capital or capital from retail investors? This is really one of these things where it depends. Most people who are probably following me are not probably qualified to take in institutional capital, although there are a small number of people that call from time to time and ask for advice on how to do this. I've taken in large numbers of dollars of institutional capital. They're just completely different. Now, what is retail? Retail are the 98% of people that are out there every day that need help, that are not professional investors. They're buying generally through a broker or through somebody else. Those are your regular retail people. They're good people. They just are not in the business of doing this, and we think about them as retail. The wholesale people are professional investors, like these institutional people. They could be hedge fund people, private equity people. They could be pension companies. They're people that probably control other people's money. They are probably also syndicators, because syndicators take other people's money, pull it together, and then they go and they move it. Here's the difference really between an institutional investor and a private or retail type of investor. It's very simple, and it boils down to who owns the money. I would always prefer to deal with the person that owns the money. When you deal with an institution, number one, they're professional people. They're highly skilled. It's all they do all day long is place capital. Their requirements are probably going to be substantially different, much more complicated than the kinds of other investors that you might deal with. So that's a significant difference. The second thing is that when you're dealing with somebody that owns their own money, for example, a doctor, a lawyer, a business person that says, I'm going to write you a check for some amount of dollars, that person really has a vested interest in creating some relationship with you. They're not a gatekeeper. They're not an intermediary. They're the direct buyer. They're the person that you're going to be dealing with. They're the person that's going to be on your team for a long time. And so you want to make sure and create a good, solid relationship with that person. It's a strong bond, and you need to work hard on making that happen. So when you're working between retail and institutional people, you have to really think, what's the right thing? Institutional people could invest in increments of 5 or 10 or $20 million. So if you need a very substantial amount of capital, those are going to be your people. If you need much smaller numbers of dollars, then the retail people are your people. The institutional people are not going to probably be your first money. So if you're going to get a layer of capital, let's say you want to build your first $5 million and you want to build that up, that's probably not going to come from an institution. It's probably going to come from some other people, retail type people. But then when you're ready to expand your fund and go from 5 or 10 million to 50 or 100 million, then you might want to layer on some institutional capital. Institutions like to be secured. They like to have a senior position. They very frequently, they might want to be a lender so that they have a different kind of relationship. They're a lot more concerned with protecting their downside, their risk, than they are with the upside. Retail people tend to be more greedy, more optimistic. The professional investors have a fiduciary responsibility because it's not their own capital. They've been around the block. They've seen a lot of calamities and disasters. So they probably are going to be a lot more careful. They're going to do much more due diligence. They're going to ask harder questions, and they're probably going to put you through the paces in a different way. So you have to think, what are the right kinds of people for you to deal with? What's the right thing for you to do? That's entirely a personal and business decision based on what your requirements are, but it's something that you need to understand so that you can identify the right people and do the right thing. In the meantime, this is a great business, so go out and stake your claim.